Alright, welcome back to our next episode of our Seller series. Today we're heading in to chat about home staging part 2. And in this episode, we're going to talk about 9 tips that we have for you when it comes to staging up your home while preparing to sell in the resale market. Let's go. So if you've not watched part 1 of our home staging episode, we'll encourage you to watch back and click on this link because that will then bring you back where we discuss about the 4 key reasons and benefits on why is it worth it and why it might be worth it for you to consider home staging as part of a key strategy when selling a home in the resale market. Now, in this episode, which is part 2, we're going to talk about 9 tips if you have already decided to head on and do the home staging preparation for your home. Let's talk about these 9 tips, and these are all tips that we have learned on the ground and based on research as well, and what was the response from home buyers that came during open houses, and of course through home stagings that we have done in PropertyLimBrothers over the past 5 years. I think in totality, I'm not sure how many homes have we staged. I think probably it might be close to 1,000 homes already. I need to double check on the numbers. And these 9 tips we think will definitely benefit you. And let's head on to tip number 1, is to keep your home to a neutral tone. And what do we mean by neutral tone? Let's start with paintwork first. Now, neutral tone will mean that as much as you can, try your best to eliminate or try your best to neutralize any rooms or any main walls with very striking colors that might not cater to the majority of buyer audience in the current market. Now, most buyers will be accepting neutral tonalities starting from white, beige colors, light brown, tones that belongs to this palette that I'm going to flash out and show you here. Of course, the other palettes are very exciting colors, for example, like bright red, bright green, bright yellow. Those can be reserved after you purchase your next dream home. However, when it comes to actual selling on the ground, it is best to neutralize all these striking colors to the neutral kind of palette. Now, the key reason is because a lot of people might like striking colors themselves. However, based on research, majority of the buyers, they are very open to neutral tones, and sometimes having too bright a color might turn off certain buyers. Now, the key objective, again, if you have not watched that previous episode where I talked about home staging, and also 2 years back in our old studio, we talked about the key rationale of doing home tours for your home in the event if you want to sell your place, is that the moment you put your property in the market, your property technically becomes your product, and you want your product to shine in the market. You want your product to be able to stand out of the crowded marketplace, and the key objective definitely is to be able to find a buyer that appreciates your home in the next 3, 4, 5 months, depending on what is your time frame for selling and exiting your home. And time frame is one of the key important factor in maximizing the potential of your current home. Now, let me explain the keyword potential. So in PLB, we always share with our clients that our key role and key passion and mission is to position and market a property by creating fantastic content, analyzing the property, analyzing the market, and position the property in the market to its fullest potential. And how do we define potential? Now, potential involves 2 major factors and components. The first one is time frame, and let me explain why time frame is important. So for example, if you're set for yourself a time frame of, let's say, 3 to 6 months to exit, let's say, your condominium or landed property by finding the next right buyer, or maybe you set a time frame of 3 months. Why is it important to exit within the set time frame? Is because all of us are looking for the next replacement dream home. Now, if you put your property in the market and you leave it there and do viewings that are not effective, do marketing that are not effective, you might have a lot of people coming to view your home, but if you don't have the offers or you always get low ball offers, technically speaking, your marketing period is going to drag for 1, 2, or even 3 years. And what does that mean for you and your objective is that maybe your next home, you're looking for an upgrade for a bigger home. That property in an uptrend market might appreciate faster with the same level of per square foot gain, but because of its size, that it is a bigger size, the overall quantum price of your next home might rise faster than your current home. And that is a huge opportunity cost, especially if you are switching to a next replacement dream home in maybe another part of the island because of your kids' school needs and things like that. So time frame forms the first key factor of maximum potential of exiting your current property. Second thing that is very important is that how do we position your property using content, using marketing, using analysis to its maximum potential by bringing out all the plus points so that when the plus points are being showcased, we attract the right groups of buyers and they appreciate the home. They are willing to pay for the home based on its current correct value in the current time frame in this current market. And of course, every home has pros and cons. No homes are perfect. And how do we then find solutions to solve some of the obstacles, to share different perspectives on how we can then soften some of the cons of the home? Because every home might have a west sun coming into this bedroom, might have particular facing that maybe a buyer don't like, maybe this particular room faces the road, but the rest of the house, 80% faces towards the pool. So importantly, potential in our definition in PLB is to find a buyer that appreciates this home, willing to pay for this home at its current correct value in this current market, so that the home seller can then exit within the correct time frame. So coming back to home staging tips, why is this definition so important when it comes to even home staging? Is because once our mindset as a home seller is to position our product correctly, effectively, to its best appealing stage, then home staging becomes a breeze. And that brings us to the second tip. And the second tip is to have furnitures that have a balance in terms of neutrality, but also in terms of attractiveness. So it's perfectly fine to have neutral tones furnitures that blends in with the home. And it's also perfectly fine to have maybe a striking key standalone sofa that's of a different kind of color and tonality. So you can have a look at some of these examples right here in the images. They come up perfectly fine. So it's cool to balance striking tones furnitures with neutral tone furnitures. Most importantly is try to have different themes for different parts. Maybe your living room can have a different theme, your dining can have a different theme, or if you want to home stage the entire living dining to blend in together, that's also perfectly fine. Because in Singapore, most home buyers, when they come to view a property that has went through home staging, they know definitely that this home is being staged up, and they know that the furnitures will be removed when the home is sold. Because in Singapore, in the resale market, the default purchase guidelines and rules that all lawyers know, and is in all contracts in the OTP, and is by default in the option to purchase contract, that only the fittings and fixtures are included to the next home buyer. So by default, homeowners have to remove all furnitures unless they separately negotiate for furnitures to be sold separately. So the third point is a little bit more sensitive because this relates to our own religion. Singapore, of course, is a harmonious country. We have many different religions, we live with different races, we are multinational, we are multiracial, and that has been our core and culture since Singapore's independence stage. And why is it important that we need to take care of this particular part? Is that when it comes to home selling, however, things might become a little bit different. So let me share with you an example. So we used to put out a property for sale in the past. When we spoke with this home seller was sharing with us that she has been trying to sell her property for the past 6 months. However, this past 6 months, although she has multiple viewings, but there has been no offers at all. So 0 offers, many viewings. Now, why is there this effect? This will clearly show that there could be some roadblocks when buyers come for a physical viewing. Buyers might be attracted by the video or the photos, and they might call in and inquire. They will spend their time to personally come down over the weekend to view the place, but after viewing the place physically, they might not offer. So when this kind of situation happens, it could either be because of the physical viewing impression, it could either be because of some obstacles that were not solved, or perspectives that were not shared, or solutions not shared by the broker or the homeowner to the potential buyer on the buyer's objections, and thus it results in no offer. So what were the objections of this key home? So when we asked this particular homeowner, she wasn't sure at all. So what we did was that after we walked through the place, we found 2 key rationales that could be the reason. Number 1 was that she has 2 bedrooms with distinctly bright and striking colors. One room was painted in bright green, one room was painted in bright purple. And the room that was painted in bright purple, actually that room has been reserved as a prayer room for the seller's religion. However, as we enter into the room, we realize that the altar takes up almost the entire space of the common bedroom. And based on our analysis, that could also be one of the key factors that a lot of buyers might not feel maybe comfortable, because some buyers that came to view the place might not be of the same religion. Some buyers, of course, if they're of the same religion, they might be okay. But our advice to the seller was that there are 2 things that probably she can consider, provided she's comfortable, provided her family is okay. So we recommended 2 things. Mainly is to paint up the 2 common rooms into neutral tonality, and she did that. So she painted them into light beige color. Looks great after that, to neutralize the tonality of the 2 bedrooms. Secondly, we also advised her that if it is possible, is there a chance that she can actually relocate her prayer room temporarily, maybe to the religious location that she always frequent, or maybe is there an alternative location in the next home, or whether is there an alternative location in one of her family's home that she can actually relocate relocate the altar. So eventually she did those two arrangements, and guess what? Just a short 2 weeks later, the home was sold. So compared to 6 months versus 2 weeks, basically it brought in a successful sale. And that's what we mean by neutralizing the home, so that the home opens up to a wider buyer audience out there. Now the fourth thing is about decluttering. Now decluttering is so important because firstly, decluttering enhances the space that you already have. It removes obstacles from buyers' perception that the place is not taken care of, that there's actually more space to walk around, and you're actually removing the chance that your buyers will potentially focus on your own personal items or your own personal mess. So very importantly, take the time to declutter. You can book a small storage space, maybe $200 at some of the storage facilities, store in your items. And there's one key thing that might be able to help you is that if there are items that you're actually not planning to bring to your new home, then you can actually start throwing them away. So you can start the decluttering and you can start the disposing kind of stage right now, because you just need to look at the things at your home and ask yourself, is this going to be at my new home? Is that going to be at my new home? If not, then let me dispose them, let me sell them, let me give them away. So you can start to do that kind of arrangement. Fifth thing is the smell. Now we all use our 5 senses. Smell is definitely an important factor. Make sure your home smells good. You can of course use different kind of fragrances. Of course in US it's also very popular that you want to bake cookies to enhance the chocolatey smell in the entire home, or you want to make coffee. But of course I'll leave that to you based on your own family situation, and of course if anybody is allergic to any form of fragrances. Most importantly, I think any light fragrances in the home will definitely enhance your home feel and the first impression that this home is well taken care of, it smells good. And let's go to point number 6. Now 6 is to enhance the feel of your home, to soften up the feel of your home with carpets and rugs. Now you might think that these are not important items, but just putting a carpet or rug at the right position, maybe in the study room, maybe in the master room, or maybe in the living room, it softens the feel and makes the home feel more cozy. So the home buyer that will eventually buy the place might not like carpets in their own home, but however, coming to a show flat is extremely different, which is why you always see carpets in show flat units, in developers' new launch projects, and there's a rationale behind using some soft materials because it just creates a more homely feel in the entire place. If not, everything will feel quite concrete here and there, and carpets and rugs has a fantastic effect of softening it. Point number 7 is to also use small cushions and bean bags at specific places. So be generous in using them, but of course not overdoing it, because sometimes bean bags might take out a lot of space. Of course, if you have this particular corner in the study room, you can throw in 1 to 2 bean bags to soften it as well. Cushions on the sofa and specific places on outdoor furnitures will also lighten up the home a little bit more. Now, point number 8 is that do not be afraid to fill up awkward blank corners. So for example, have a look at these 2 photographs. One has a lot more awkward blank corners, and the other one has properly filled up corners with maybe a chest of drawer, or maybe a display shelf with books and things like that, and or maybe with a nice flower display. Now, so things like this enhances the entire feel. So just try to imagine when was the last time that you visited a hotel lobby as well. You can also take some inspiration from there, but of course nowadays on social media and on the internet, you can find tons of inspiration on how to actually stage out your home to a beautiful effect. And the last point is repainting. So repainting is one of the very important points that we think is extremely important. Of course, if your home has been recently painted in the last 2 years, then all you need to do might be to just do a bit of touch up here and there, or maybe some of the ceiling in your bathrooms, because over time as condensation takes place, sometimes without proper ventilation, there might be certain condensation spots on the ceiling. Of course, if there are water leaking, then you need to fix it first, because water leaking will definitely pop up even after you repaint it. So if it's not water leaking, it's just touch up work, then go ahead and touch up the ceiling. And of course, if you need to do a full repaint of the home, it's perfectly fine to do it, and we encourage you to do it as well. So even if you might be thinking, hey, will the buyer ask me like, why do you want to repaint your home since you're already selling it? Like, is it a very strange kind of feeling? Actually, it's not. Most of the time when buyers walk in, they see the home properly prepared, fully repainted, they appreciate the sellers even more, because they also appreciate the upkeep of the place, and they feel even better buying this particular property compared to another property that has not been well taken care of over the years. There you have the 9 points from PropertyLimBrothers on home staging part 2 series, and do watch part 1 and part 2 of the home staging episodes on our seller series, and we hope that this particular seller series will benefit you as a home seller, and we'll see you soon. Take care. So if you have not watched the part, so if you have not sure that a home buyer, more time. Okay. and when we ask 5th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh wow, thanks. You're paying more attention than me. 你觉得吗？